So in the story brand, you remember it says it's a person, you meet a person and they have a problem. And we talked about what is that problem and knowing what the problem is and then what those outcomes are. So I'm going to share with you today the part where the next one was they meet a guide. So let's talk about they meet a guide. Now, with the meet the guide, then the next thing is that they give them a plan. So I'm going to talk about the meet the guide for 2 seconds just to remind you of it. And then we're going to talk about this makes a plan. So if you remember the guide, the important thing in the story is you make them the hero and you are the guide. Very important in what you share in your social media or you share in your offer or whenever you're talking about what you're doing, you want to include 2 things that are really important. And that's trust and respect. Making sure that your people that you talk to can trust you and respect you. Now, if you put trust, put right next to it, how do we help them to trust us? To help them to trust us, we create empathy. That means somewhere in your social media, somewhere in your offer, you say, I've been there. I've been there. I've been where you are, and I am at a better place. So this trust of she knows how I feel. She knows what I've experienced. And guess what? She's come out of that hole and she's in a better place. How did she do that? They will have trust in you if you can emphasize that. So how are you doing that in social media? How are you doing that in your offer? How is it showing X to Y? I was there and now I'm here and I can take you there. I can show you how to get there. And the second thing is that respect. And how do you get their respect? You show competency. So the way you're going to show these 2 things to your audience is empathy for trust and competency for respect. And that competency means that you are showing your credibility. You're showing how you are able to make this happen. And you are saying, I'm going to show, whether it's in my feed or my offer, my opt-in, I'm going to show that I have certifications. I go to these organizations. I'm involved in organizations. If I'm a speaker, like for me as a speaker, I'm showing that I'm speaking at the Lead by Faith conference. I'm hosting the speaker showcase. I'm speaking at NSA. I'm doing these things now, not 15 years ago, but now I'm doing those right now so that I am competent and they go, oh, she's doing it. Oh, I'm hosting a podcast right now. I have competent things to share. If I've been able to get an episode, Jenny Doan, and it's 30,000 downloads, then I'd be able to share, she knows something about making an episode successful or get out there, right? So that's a really important thing. Is it's not fillable on your end. Okay, thank you so much. That you have what they want. Exactly. And that you can teach them and show them how you got there. It's not enough to just get there. They need to know that you can teach them how to do that. Have you ever been in a class with someone and they're so good at what they do, they're an expert, but they can't teach it worth a darn? That's painful. So you need to be able to show them that I can teach you the steps. I can show you those steps of how I got there, and they're going to be unique to me. So that's a really important thing to know. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to write down some thoughts on that. Whether you need to increase your ability to show I've been there and I'm actually in a better place. And buzzwords, some things that would showcase that. Like for me, for an example, if I was going to say a speaker, writer, and media, I'm going to share some experiences. When I started my first radio show with KSL, I remember walking in and saying, I am home. But then I had to learn the board because they didn't want to hire an engineer. And there was all of these. Have you ever seen a radio board? There's all these buttons and things. And then I had to go to commercial on the right time and then do the 30 seconds. And I had to do it exactly right and introduce things and then bring it back. I had to learn how to do all of that. And that was right after having a baby. I can tell you that was a challenge, but I learned how to do it and I did it. And we became one of the most successful shows on KSL. Okay, so that's something I could share to show credibility, right? So these experiences, talking about, you know what, I want to be a writer. And so I started with this local newspaper that was like ridiculous, not even in business anymore. But then I was writing for Deseret News. And this is how I got there. Credibility. I'm showing that I have competency and someone can go, oh, she can help me know how to write for Deseret News because she's done it, or LDS Living or whatever. So does that make sense? That's an example of how I would put that in my feed or my stories and share an experience that people, I'm not being like, I'm all that in a bag of chips. I'm sharing something in that experience. Now, a little tip, extra tip on that. When you are sharing experiences that could come off braggy, I would encourage you, and I kind of do this. Okay, so I do this naturally. I'm not thinking, I don't want you thinking like I'm manipulating experiences, but I realized after several years that people would make comments and I realized, oh, that's how they're not feeling overwhelmed by what I'm saying, is that I was happy to share my fails. I was happy to share what didn't work well. I was happy to say I sat down in that chair to do that radio show and I'm interviewing Dean Hughes and I'm saying, oh, is this your first book? And he's like, no, it's my 96th, right? Like a totally humiliating moment. I'm sharing that. I'm not trying to be like, wow, follow my footsteps because I haven't made a mistake, but I'm sharing things in real time and I'm not trying to tug at their heartstrings. I'm just sharing a balanced view of my experiences. So yes, I'm showing my competency, but I'm showing my vulnerability just as much, right? I'm making sure that they get a balanced picture of that. So any questions on that? I'm going to go ahead and let you write for a minute. Just write down what that could look like. Start with trust / empathy, because you want to show your empathy. How could they look at you and say, she's been where I am? I'm trying to figure out this song and I don't know how to get it out there. And Blenda can say, I was there. I was there. And now I'm collaborating with Kurt Bester. So I was there and now I'm here and I can teach you a couple of things about that. Or I can share with you some music. If you're having a hard time in the holidays, I can share some things with you of how this music can help you feel, because I've been there. I've been struggling. I've had emotional issues. And guess what? Music has saved me, creating it, listening to it. And I can share this with you. So I'm going to be quiet so you can focus. Okay, move to respect and competency if you haven't already. I'll give you just one more minute. How can you show your competency? By experiences, by certifications, by events, by coaching, by what have you done, volunteer, teaching in the church, what have you done that can showcase your competency? And again, include those life experiences that you've survived and been able to get through. Anybody want to share one way that they think, oh, I bet I could do this better in social media or in my opt-in or in my offer? One thing is in your opt-in, sometimes what we end up doing is making it very clinical, right? I have this thing and it's 3 steps to, and here you go. And I would encourage you to include your voice. Have something in that little paragraph above that just says, I'm so glad that you're checking this out. I've been where you are, and I'm so thrilled to be able to take you to a higher place. And I've got these 3 easy steps, and I promise you it's going to be so doable. You're going to love this. Or if it's blended with her music, I have loved this music. When I was having a hard time, I actually wrote this and realized that I could take this angst and make it into this. And I hope that you can receive it with that love and that caring, because we can download things on Google a dime a dozen, but people want voice. They want feeling. They want connection. I have a cookbook from Ann Romney. Anybody got it? It's called From the Romney Table. Do you just love it? I love it. Everything I make out of there is so good. Shameless promotion. But anyway, what I love about it is that she has like a couple of sentences before most of her recipes. Josh's rolls. I taught him how to make these rolls years ago. And now, even as an adult, it's kind of his job now. And I'm like, good on you. Way to go. That's what I started doing with my kids. Like, you do such a good job with those potatoes. That's your job from now on. You make them better than anyone else. Right. So that whole idea, there's a couple of sentences, makes me feel connected to her, makes me want to make that recipe. This is one of our grandma's favorites, and we love it. Every Easter, we make this, blah, blah, baked beans. So include something like this that will make them feel connected. Anybody have anything they want to share or any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to move along then because I want to make sure you get the learning and then you can sift it out this week. Okay, so the next thing is after you meet a guide and you want to position yourself as that guide, I'm going to help you do this. Then it's who has a plan. Okay, here's my question to you. What is your plan? If someone's like, how do you help me? If you cannot say, oh, here's the plan, it needs some work. I can say to someone, oh, I have a 3-step plan that we do. You do a discovery call, you come to a retreat and get the foundational information. And then if you want to continue with us, I will certify you and teach you the skills in our DTLC program. Boom, boom, boom. They know exactly what the path is. They know exactly what's coming next. What is your 3-step plan? He says in here that there's 2 things that you need to have with this plan. You need a process, or English would say process, a process and an agreement. Okay. Something, and I'll explain both of those, but this process is what I call your 3-step plan. It should not be any more complicated than 3 steps. It can be 5 steps, but I would not make it any more complicated than that. If you can't remember it and say it clearly to someone, it's too complicated. And I've been there. I've had all these different steps. I've had this chart that this thing went to here. It looked like a train station on steroids that was like run by a 5-year-old. So if you can't say it crisply, that means it needs some cleaning out. And you need to put things under a category instead of having it being its own thing. And maybe some things need to be taken out. So for example, on a 3-step plan, we actually have what we call a 3-step life plan. And we would do that as an opt-in for people who are trying to tidy up their lives and find their purpose. We have a 3-step life plan. It's on one sheet. It's super helpful, actually. And you just go through, you do a brainstorm, you combine it, you pick out 2 or 3 sentences, put them in three sentences, and then you actually create that mini life statement, that purpose statement in like 4 to 6 sentences. And it's so slick. So what's your 3-step process for the thing that you are offering? Now, it can be different than like the 3-step opt-in, but that 3-step plan, you can pull out a 3-step opt-in that would start them on that journey. So like that 3-step life plan started them on their journey to find their purpose. And then once they're doing their purpose, now we can help them fulfill it with the 3 steps of retreat, the discovery call, the retreat, and the DTLC program, if that makes sense. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I want you to be able to write as quickly as you can. In order to figure out your process, there's really just the one most important thing you need to be able to convey to them, and that's outcomes. I'm going to be in my grave and I'll raise my hand as you walk by and say, did you know your outcome? Did you give them their outcomes? Because that's all people want. They want outcomes. They don't want to hear a great new diet that's going to be so wonderful unless they know outcomes. They're not going to give up pumpkin pie unless they know there's going to be some kind of an outcome. So what are your outcomes? Write them down. What's your top 3 outcomes? If you can't write them down and they're not riveting, they need some work. People know if I'm going to work with them, I'm going to teach them how to be a speaker, a writer, and a media presence for him. And I better deliver on that. I'm going to do everything in my power to help someone do that. Now, it's their choice how much and how fast they go and how much they're going to get done. But I need to deliver on that. What are the 3 outcomes? I'm going to give you a minute to write. Make them as specific and powerful as you can. What would someone give up sugar for in your outcomes? And think back to that before and after sheet. Now keep writing, because it may be that you need to put your feet up for a minute and really think through this and imagine your audience avatar. And she's coming to you and she's struggling and she's saying, I don't know how to do this. And you're just going to talk to her and say, oh, well, I can help you with that. You could do this and you could do this and you could do this. And that's your 3-step plan. And then you're going to refine it and go, you know what? I would have said this, but guess what? I remember I did this one principle and practice, and that was actually more powerful. So I'm going to put that in the 3-step. And this other one that was pretty good, I'm going to categorize it with step number 1 or step number 2. I'm going to do the 3 most powerful jumping off points that I had in my change in my X to Y. And I'm going to share those 3 points, the most powerful ones. So for example, in teaching people how to speak, write, and be a media presence, I know what we offer is coaching, courses, and connection. So those are the 3 main things that I'm going to offer them in order to get those outcomes that I'm going to give them. So that guides me to know what specific things I'm going to offer. Well, I'm going to offer courses that will help them know how to speak and write and do media. And I'm going to offer coaching hours and office hours. I'm going to offer these different things to help them actually apply it. And connection, I'm going to offer DTLC every week. And I'm going to give real-time tips when I go speak somewhere and say, this is real time. This is cutting edge. This is what you need to know because I just went and spoke. So I want you to be able to know this. I'm going to bring in experts who are going to say, this is what you should be doing. Does that make sense? So you've got those outcomes that are regenerative, and I'm helping them to really know they can trust and respect that I'm going to give them the best that I've got. Now, another tip on a good plan, as you're thinking through what could be this good plan that I have, or if I have a good plan, how can I kind of check it and make sure, yeah, it's a good plan? It should do 2 things, at least one, but both would be helpful. It's clarify the process and remove the risk. So if you can clarify this process into those 3 powerful things, those 3 powerful steps that are easy to understand and easy to follow, like, oh, I know what I need to do next. You're clarifying the process and then find a way to remove the risk. So that's where people do things like they give you a guarantee, or they give you your money back, or they say things like, you can try it for a month on a subscription and then you can unsubscribe. They're giving you some kind of a removing the risk and saying, you can do it this way and I'll take it out if it's not working. Or you say, you know what? This is going to be so great. There isn't any money back guarantee, but this is what we are offering to make sure you get it. That's why I have so many coaching hours and office hours and modules and more modules and downloads. And then we have the office hour recordings and things like that. So there's always the information that people need in order to make a decision and move forward. The risk can be financial, but it can be also their time. Remember, teamer, time, energy, money, relationships, resources, and health. Anything that they're having to invest, you want to give them some kind of an agreement that says, I'm asking you to do this, but I'm going to show up like this. And I'm going to share that I'm going to show up like this. And I'm going to guarantee I'm going to show up like this. I'm going to give you tools that will make sure you will know, whether you do it or not, you're going to know how to be a speaker and a writer and a media presence. So let's go back to the other one first, and let's kind of go back, and I go ahead and take time to write if you want to write. You don't need to listen to me because you can go back and watch this. But if it's coming to mind, if you have ideas, let's go back and workshop this. So the first one is a clear process. Okay, my little guy has a Gab phone. I don't know if your kids have Gab phones, but I love the Gab phone, right? But it's old. It's old. It's like 5 years old, but it's been great, right? But he's 11 now, and I want him to have Scripture app, and I want him to be able to do Duolingo. And so they got the new Gab phone. Well, I tried to get that Gab phone Black Friday, 50% off, and it was so annoying. I will say it openly. Randall, whatever your name is, I can't, Nate Randall, I adore you. I've had you speak at one of my conferences. Make it easier. Anyway, so I kept going in, and it kept saying, you don't have the right password. I'd have the right password, get into my account, and it would say, okay, now you can order. And I go into order, and they go, no, you don't have the right username and password. I'm like, I'm in my account. Of course I do. So it was just this, it was 2 days. Now, if I was not motivated to do that Gab phone, what would I have done? If somebody had popped up another ad that said, we've got an easy, stress-free phone that does all the things that Gab does, and it's by a push of a button, what would I have done? Even though I love Gab phone, I love them, I would have pressed the button because I'm a busy mama. So I actually ended up calling them. Now, kudos to them. They actually had someone pick up in like 5 minutes, and that was on Black Friday, Saturday. It was Saturday. So that was impressive. And guess what? It was worth my while because she showed me how I could upgrade it and get a free phone. So how am I feeling about Gab now? I love them because not only did they show up in that 5 minutes, which was really good, but they also made it worth my while to get that free phone. I've been a customer forever, right? So I was like, I'm back on the Gab train, right? Fair weathered fan. But that's clear process. That's being able to go on and get something, and you've got to make sure that it's clear and easy to use. Other things in your process. If you don't know how to do it, then get people who can. That's why we do discovery call. And then we have coaches that we have that can teach. Katrina can teach social media. I know some things, but I don't know all the things. She can teach strategy. So I'm hiring her to do that. I've hired affiliates like Amanda Tullis, who's going to come in and talk about structuring your business because she does that. I've hired her to do custom fit because I don't know how to work custom fit like she does. And she is a master of it. In all of Utah, she knows how to work this. So now we have Amanda Tullis, who is going to, not Amanda Powell, who started off for us, but now we have someone else who's going to be able to come in and help do this custom fit. And she's already helping. So I want to make clear that matters. Simplify your process, make it clear, make it doable. You'll give them a whole bunch of stuff when they get into that process, but make the getting into the process and the idea of the process simple so they know exactly what they need to do. And that will make a huge difference. Okay, any questions on either of those? So again, agreement can be easy installation or easy sign up, just one click, whatever it might be, something that's so easy. And that's why we go to Funnel Breezy. What are those 3 outcomes that you know you can give? Oh, yep, 3. Yes, 3. Now, you don't have to have 3. You could have 5, but how many do people studies show? How much can we retain? 3. That's why we have 3 points in a keynote. That's why you have 3 points that you make in a podcast. It's 3. Anything beyond that, even though Stephen Covey has 7 points, how many of us remember all 7 points? No. So it is in our best interest to keep it to 3. Yes, the agreement part. So again, it's more like it's a warranty, a guarantee. It's some kind of a guaranteed time frame. Like I say, in a year, you are doing this program for a year. That's an agreement that we make. So I better make sure I've got all these modules and everything that you can do in a year. And in fact, if you want to do it faster, you could get in and you could do the modules and do it faster. So it's something that's more of like, let me see if I have any other examples that I wrote down personally for the remove the risk. Quality assurance. And like I said, easy installation or easy buy. Just it's like a one-step thing. If you're doing decide to do a masterclass, you're doing a Zoom link or something like that. That's one step. They put in their email, you capture it, and then they get an email that says, this is what's happening. Here's the Zoom link. Here's the day. Here's the date. Here's the time. Here's what you need. If there's a passcode, the passcode is there. It's all like mishmash and they're getting 3 or 4 emails and they can't keep track of it. It's so slick. It's easy to do. And then you have the agreement that on the Zoom, you're going to say, I'm going to give you a recording. So if you're not able to make it, then I'm going to give you a recording to make sure that you get this information. So anything that shows basically you're going the extra mile and you're reassuring them that you are legit, you're going to be able to give them what you're talking about. Any other questions? Okay, so for homework this week, I'm inviting you, besides the finished Foundation 5 and Staircase, I'm inviting you to do that 3-step plan. Tell me what your 3 outcomes are, and then your 3-step plan. And I just want you to post it in WhatsApp. It'll be the easiest thing ever, and you'll be able to see each other's plans. You say, my 3 outcomes are, and then here's my 3-step plan. And it can be as easy as they do a discovery call, they'll do a retreat to get the foundational principles and practices, and then they can do the skills and certifying the skills with me for a year. It can be as easy as that. For Blenda, it could be as easy as, I'm sorry I keep using Blenda, but just because I know she's got this launch of this, the music and stuff, it can be as easy as saying, you are looking for inspirational music over the holidays, you want to feel good and feel great, then you just go to my website, click on this thing, and it delivers the email. Examples of other DTLC ladies plans, like who are further along. Yeah. So like Wendy Jones, who did her retreat, she puts out things on her social media that show, come join us. We're going to teach you how to use the tools, and then you're going to use the tools to better someone else's life as well as your own. So the process is, go on my website, sign up for a call. I think she's still doing calls, or you just sign up directly for the retreat and it has this information page. Sign up for the retreat, and then she will tell you, now you're going to do a day where we teach you how to do tools. The next step is you do the retreat you do a retreat and learn how to do the tools. The next step is you're going to do this for someone else. And this is the project, the person that's been nominated is so-and-so, and this is the project that we're doing for them. So does that make sense? She lays that out. For, I'm trying to think, Deliberate Families. She says she has an opt-in, and then she's going to give you some coaching or a course on what she's going to teach you of how to do a deliberate family. I know she's got a special thing going on for the holidays right now, and I can't remember what that is. For artists who, I don't know if you guys know artists, Laura Scheider, she's the one that did the garden, right? So her thing is she's got these luxe boxes that she's offering now for the holidays. And it's kind of like holiday stuff in a box. So you can make your home look lovely in a box. And so it's very simple. Go to the website, see what a luxe box is, see what the thing is for the month that is going to be included. Click on this button, order the box. That's it. And then decorate your house. So try to think of it in very simple steps. Let me look at others. Amanda with her tutoring. She has a tutoring course that she's doing. So she created the course. She put out, are you struggling with a child who has dyslexia? Go here, learn about what I offer, how it's going to help you. Click on the course. We begin coaching on this date. If that makes sense. I can give you some more examples. Just have to look at my women. Any other questions? So again, a 3-step process. Maybe they're going to click on a podcast episode that you did, and then you're going to lead them to the opt-in, and then you're going to lead them to the book or lead them to a course or whatever that might be. That's a 3-step plan. And that's going to help them transform. So the red thread through this is, how is this going to help them transform and get those 3 outcomes? These are the chunky steps that they need to take to do that. Whether it's meet with you, do a call, do an opt-in, whatever that might be. The next thing is they need to do a course, or they read the book, or they come to a coaching session, or whatever that might be. And the third thing is they need to show something, some kind of an action. They need to show that they're doing it, right? So either they get a certification, or they finish the course, or they come on your podcast as a guest, as someone who finished your thing, whatever it might be. But it's showing these are the 3 steps, and that's how you are going to get those outcomes. All right. All right, ladies, our time is up. Thank you so much. I know it's a fire hose on a Monday after Thanksgiving, but let it sift and settle. You can go back and re-listen if you want, but just remember, first and foremost, Foundation 5, Service Staircase, just get that and send it to me in an email. And then this week, post your 3 outcomes, and then a rough, even if it's just a rough 3-step plan of what those people can do to be able to transform and get your outcomes. All right. Mark on me with any questions. I love you. You've got this. We're going down the downhill stretch before the holidays, and we're going to get these things cemented. All right. I love you. Bye.